Hello, me again at the top of the episode to remind you that we have a Patreon page. Patreon.com/won't be forgetting that pod has plenty of exclusive content on there. It's got ad-free episodes, it's got early announcements and all the good stuff that really genuinely helps the show run, if I'm being honest with you. The couple of dollars a month, if you can afford it, genuinely goes a long way. So if you can, patreon.com/won't be forgetting that pod. Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are an actor, a pole dancer, a coach, Andrea James Lui.
That's me. What's up?
Thank you so much for coming on, and that was definitely the first take I did of that as well. So,
one take wonder.
Well, exactly. Nobody needs to know about the fuck up I just did.
Takes we did
oh
before.
No, bro. Yeah, thank you for only saying double digits. I am a stunt performer, and I always say this, I've got brain damage. So I will apologise for misspeaking, forgetting words, sometimes repeating things. And this is also probably to all the beautiful perverts that listen as well. I do apologise for all the... When I listen to a podcast, I get it. I'm like, he just said the wrong word. He said the wrong name there. So I love you all listening, and I do apologise, and thank you for putting up with me.
Actually, I feel really inclined to interview you about your stunt performing, because before I moved to Australia, I did a fair bit of stage combat.
I did. I've seen some of it.
Okay.
I've done my
research.
So
we're talking about embarrassing stories. Isn't it always embarrassing when someone's like, "Oh, I've seen your work," and I'm immediately like,
"Really?"
But it's public on the internet, so I don't know why that still surprises me.
You put a lot of it out there for not wanting people to see it.
There is a lot of me on the internet.
Yes.
I mean, if you look in the right places.
Excuse me?
Instagram. It's just on Instagram.
Okay, cool. That's what we're talking about. So that's what I actually like to start my show off with now. It's a little bit of a compliment, because I have had people on in the past and they say, "Oh, look, thank you for getting me on the show, but I've just purely spoken about how bad I am at performing, and I never want people to think that are listening that the guests on the show are bad performers," essentially.
I'd like you to be a guest to make me look good. Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm just trying to make everyone seem terrible until I'm the last person left in the industry. Okay, so I've got a few more people.
I'm the last man standing.
Yeah, everyone else is going to be like, "Oh no, I promise I was good. I promise." But I do genuinely want to give you am I allowed as well? So I get uncomfortable with compliments myself.
Fire away.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to give it to me. Lay it on me. Build me up.
Holy shit, you are a talented pole dancer.
Oh, stop.
That is insane what you can do. Like, I'm come from a physical background myself. I'm a stunt performer, martial artist for a good few years. Seeing some of the stuff that you can do, even like standing next to the pole, how the fuck do you do that?
How do I stand? Well, a lot of people ask this question about the heels, because most oftentimes
there's like, what, 50 inches?
50 inches?
Yeah.
No, that would lead... 50 inches is nearly like my height. I'm a lot shorter in real life than people realize.
Is that because of the heels?
People do get used to seeing me in heels, and then when they see me barefoot, they're like, oh. Because when I first started, I was dancing in 6-inch platforms.
That's still... very high.
It is very high. For perspective, like street heels,
yeah,
I might wear anything between like 2 to 4. It's like pretty normal for like a person dressing up nicely.
And that's just heels, not just platforms as well. So like
that's just heels. Well, the platforms are a bit of a I was going to call it a misnomer. That's not the right word.
Oh.
They're a bit, they create a bit of an illusion, because 4-inch street heels are actually harder to walk in, because the height from the ball of the foot to the heel is a greater difference than, let's say, if I'm wearing a pair of 8-inch platforms. The difference between the height of the ball of my foot and the height of my heel is not as steeply inclined.
I just fucking learned something right there.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Pole dancers, we know a lot of things.
That makes a lot of sense, though. So you started off in 6-inch platforms?
6-inch platforms, yeah,
right.
Which means the wedge that's underneath the ball of your foot is 6. Wait, is that right? Or no, is it the height of the stiletto?
We've got some pole dancer math going on right now. Oh.
But 6 inches used to be like a gentle place to start. But these days, everyone starts at 8-inch because they just like look nice.
Yeah, what are you up to now? Is it like a increasing scale?
No, the company that makes them, once you get to the 9 and 10-inch platforms, they actually include a warning in the box that say these are not for walking or dancing. They're for sort of, posing and photo shoots
models,
and stuff like that.
Models
for modeling.
Only.
Yeah, but then of course, we're a bit fucked in the pole community, so we do dance in them. I've got a pair of 9-inch heels that I use for like weight training. So
what?
So if I'm doing a show that is like really, really tiring, I'll train them in 9 inches because they're heavier.
Oh, and sorry. I thought you meant you were like squatting in 9-inch platforms. Like,
oh, you mean like doing gym training?
I was like, wow, that's so smart, because then your balance is going to be better with more weight on you and you get stronger. Sorry, I got you.
Yeah, so like we'll do conditioning drills on the pole. When I first started pole dancing, I used to do it with ankle weights.
Yeah.
But obviously 9-inch hills, they make you feel a certain way. So I do sometimes train for stamina and train for strength.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because you have a martial arts background, we should have... What size are your feet?
11.
My friend might have some heels that would fit you.
No shit, because absolutely.
What happens when you wear platforms, a lot of the weight is at the base of the platform.
Yeah.
So when you kick your leg, you get so much extra height because the weight just like shoots you up into the atmosphere. It's
I'd be able to do like a
brilliant.
sick axe kick with them.
So
a roundhouse. Oh my god,
it's so fun.
If I don't die and I'm able to release this podcast, we will get a video of that after this. That'll go on Patreon. I need to try that.
You're not going to release that publicly?
No, of course not. I want people to pay to see that. I mean, shoot me $5 in a DM, I'll send it through to you. But
$5, okay.
Yeah. Well, but we'll see if I have any takers. $1 or just a nice emoji, a little thumbs up.
Send me a GIF.
A good GIF though. I don't want some fucking bullshit one. I want a bespoke GIF.
Oh, my dad is a GIF keyboard aficionado.
Wow.
And when he first started, he was sending us GIFs we didn't know existed, and we were just like, how does he even know what a GIF is? He's in his 70s.
Wow, that's impressive though, like genuinely.
Yeah, good for him, right?
And I love it when somebody of an older generation finds their thing and they just fucking go for it.
It is actually his thing in our WhatsApp family chat group. He is the one you can reliably find like the most accurate GIF.
I sometimes type in, I was like, I know there's something out here for me and I need to find it, and I've gone through 4 different options. Like, you know what, I'll just write back ha ha. I just can't be. I've got so much other stuff to do, man.
It's too much. It's too much.
I don't have the time to invest in my GIF.
I've taken to voice to text,
right?
And so when you voice to text ha ha, it actually goes HA space HA space.
Really?
Period. Wow. And I'm always like, that is not the laughter I intended. But
I cannot do voice to text for a myriad of reasons. Firstly,
your accent?
Yes.
Really?
Apple is racist.
Yeah.
Does not understand what I say. For the most part, it's all right, but then every now and again, it'll really miss the boat. And then I'll use certain words which I don't think are in the English language, like in the English dictionary. So then it won't know what it is. And I'll be like, I don't know what I was meant to say there. Like, I'm reading it back after I've sent it, and I'm like, fuck, what was I trying to say there? Like, I know this word isn't right, so I just have to text.
You actually just reminded me of an embarrassing performance story that I did not intend to tell you.
Yes, let's start with this. So I was saying this to you before we started recording as well, Andrea, that this happens all the time on the podcast. I bring up all these repressed memories.
You triggered my trauma.
I do, and I bring it up, and I'm so eternally grateful to yourself and everyone else that shares these stories. And I'm so happy that this has happened again. I have brought up more trauma to share with the world.
Well, the reason how you triggered this was because it was language based and accent based, and this is such a humiliating story to tell because it is available for all to see.
Oh, beautiful!
If you look at the right places on the internet.
Well, I'll link all this in the show notes then.
Oh, Jesus!
I don't have to. A little hint: are we talking YouTube? Are we talking Instagram? Are we talking? It's a
movie. It was a performance in a movie.
Oh, can I guess what the movie is?
Oh God, probably.
Okay. Something Enforcer?
Yeah.
What is it?
That one. It's called, in North America, It was called Bail Enforcers.
Bail Enforcers,
I think overseas there were some countries that called it Bounty Hunters.
Yes, I was going to say Bounty Enforcers, so I've mixed the two up in my head.
I mean, same idea. Yeah. But there's a Jennifer Aniston movie called Bounty Hunter.
Yes, with Jerry Butler. Isn't it?
Possibly.
Yeah.
And
again, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Brain damage. We're talking
he's
about
cancelled.
No, damn it! I love Jerry Butler as well. So we're talking about bail enforcers. Sorry.
Yeah. So when I auditioned for that film, they were looking for a Japanese assassin.
Okay.
And I'm Chinese.
Yep.
I'm Chinese Canadian. I'm born and raised in Canada. My mom is born and raised in Canada. My dad's been in Canada since he was 18, and my dad speaks Cantonese.
Yep.
And no matter how much my mom tried throughout our entire childhood, we never learned any dialect.
Fair enough. I mean,
so-
if you're living in a country which you don't need it for, it's hard sometimes to be like, okay, I'll learn this.
Yeah. I can say that it's something that I definitely regret, and
Yep.
so apologies to the wisdom of my mother.
Yeah, I feel like that.
She always knew this day would come where I would like rue the day.
I always feel like that with Gaelic as well, if I'm being honest. I was like, this is fucking pointless. I was like, it'd be nice to speak another language
When you
now.
are perusing audition briefs, though,
Yes.
does Gaelic often come up?
Never.
Yes. Chinese,
Yes.
any dialect, and especially right now, every single brief is must speak something.
Yeah.
And it's not French. They don't care if I speak French.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah. So anyway, when I was preparing for this audition, and because it was an assassin audition, I knew I'd be able to bring violence into the audition. And
From your training opposed to just being like, give me the fucking role.
it's my personality.
I have been here for like maybe half an hour and I am terrified. So
Stop it.
yeah,
Oh,
no, I'm
please.
genuinely sweating
This
here in
is
the
the
corner.
flattery part. I take
sorry,
that
I'm
as a
sorry.
compliment.
Yes, no, that was. I genuinely meant that as well.
Well, because my background before pole dancing was martial arts.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that's something that I did all throughout my teens and early 20s. And it was when I started doing stage combat that I sort of stepped back from karate because, and I don't know if you found this, but
Yep.
a lot of things were counterintuitive.
Oh, it's crazy.
Distancing,
Yep.
cueing, targeting. You have to change.
Everything that's been ingrained into you from like the first class is you don't show your punches, you never do any of this nonsense.
Why are you showcasing everything
Yeah.
you're about to do? Oh, you're not my scene partner.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, right? And now I go back to doing martial arts and I'll like hold my fist all the way back behind my head and
You're
start
like, "Look at
yelling.
this."
Yeah, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
It's my battle cry.
Yeah.
Ay, 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 ay.
It's just so my partner knows that I'm about to throw a punch, especially if they're less experienced. I really need to, we call it telegraphing a lot in boxing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right, this isn't stance. I'm about to get punched in the face for real.
Yeah. Well, anyway, violence was a big forte of mine.
Yes.
So I was
You
hoping
brought the violence,
I
yes.
did. In this audition, I was like trying to distract them from my language skills because not only do I not speak Japanese, I also don't speak Chinese. So I had my dad teach me some Cantonese phonetically.
Okay.
So he translated the sides for me. But this is like a B action film.
Yep.
Where my lines were things like fuck you, bitch, I'm gonna fucking murder you, bitch.
Was that how you delivered it on the day as well?
Well, it was just a lot of swearing.
Yeah.
And there's a certain point when you realize that the whole audition panel is white.
I was about to ask, was anyone in there?
This was 10 plus years ago. So this wouldn't happen today because there's a lot more cultural diversity on panels in the creative room.
Sure, yeah.
And so this is my big humiliation that I went in, I nailed the violence in the audition, nailed the scene, and afterwards the director was like, your Japanese was awesome. And I was like, no, it was not even barely Cantonese. And he's like, well, you fooled us. And I'm like, yes, I know.
Yeah, but it's not you I need
'cause
to
you're all
fool,
white.
it's everybody that
It's
watches
everyone-
this.
Yeah. And so I booked the role and promptly went up to my dad and I was like, you have to translate every line in this film. But one of the stereotypes commonly of an Asian assassin is they don't speak much.
It's actually almost a problem in Hollywood.
It's actually like a total archetype, silent but deadly.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy doing that because
You don't have to learn lines, but...
yeah, well, also the stoic violence is very intimidating.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had my dad translate all of these. I'm just killing this bitch real quick. Like, give me a sec. I'm just gonna.
Again, this is
blow
such a
this
product of
motherfucker
10,
away.
15 years ago where you're like, you do all the work. you translate this into whatever language we're going to have you talk.
Well,
opposed to getting a cultural...
a language coach.
Yes.
The thing is, though, after we shot, like, because it was a real hectic, like, guerrilla style 2-week shoots in the middle of the night in warehouses and stuff, and you know, we're wearing cute outfits in the middle of winter.
Shoot it in summer, guys, and stop making us wear these outfits in winter, pretending like it's warm. Sorry, that could be a whole separate podcast about that, but yes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, again, the language sort of played backseat to us just really like nailing the violence, because I was fighting with a pro wrestler, which was very, very fun. She was incredibly violent. It was just delicious.
That's great. See, I love that they haven't just given you like a random actor. It's like, no, I can do karate. I did it when I was 5.
It was so fun. We just thrashed on each other, and our fight director specialized in Krav Maga, and he gave each of us distinct styles for our characters. Nice. I was like, this is great. It really well thought out. Let's just pretend that my language is not a problem. And so my parents, you know, it's not exactly every Asian parent's dream for their kid to not be a doctor or an accountant or a lawyer or etc.
What about a ninja assassin? That's
ninja assassin. Like, I mean, I think they were really excited. It was like a state of disbelief when they came to the movie premiere. And afterwards, I said to my dad, I was like, how bad was the Cantonese? And, you know, my dad, funny GIF guy.
Yes.
He was like, you just sounded like you were from a different region.
Oh, that's nice.
I was like, you liar! I know he's lying to me.
Different region of China or different region of the world?
A different planet altogether.
Oh, yes, nice.
Like, just, and yeah, that's quite a big embarrassment for me, which... It's not one of these things that it's like, oops, my boob almost came out on stage, which is what my stories were going to be for you. This one's on a much deeper level of shame.
Well, I'd rather slip a tit sometimes than like have this thing, which is like, it's out there forever as well now, right? Like, and
the only thing I can do is try and better myself now.
Exactly.
So my partner and I both have been taking Mandarin lessons with a friend of mine who specifically teaches Mandarin for actors. We haven't seen him online. He's in Toronto, so we were doing it online, and then he and I both picked up Duolingo, and it's hard. It's hard to learn a language.
Especially when you get a little bit on the older side and the brain's not quite as responsive.
You don't have full immersion.
Yes.
I don't have very many people to speak Mandarin with, and my partner and I can practice with each other, but we don't have anyone to police our pronunciation.
Yes, and you can't jump in at the deep end with conversation as well.
So I don't know if you've ever used Duolingo, but some of the phrases they get you to say are hilarious.
No, I've never. I've always wanted to try and learn a second language.
So there was a unit that was about occupations, and the sentences you were learning were literally like, I'm a doctor. Are you a doctor? They're doctors. We're doctors. Aren't you a doctor? Why aren't you a doctor? And it's like, wow. All right, Asians made this unit. But later on, there was another unit that said, I am tall and also very pretty. Oh. So as a joke, I screenshotted it and I recorded myself saying that. And one of my Taiwanese friends messaged me and he's like, Andrea, the phrasing of the sentence is fine, but your accent makes you sound a little special needs.
Oh.
I was like, I know. Because the pronunciation policing on the app is not that strong.
Not so hot. Yeah.
So I know my tones are abysmal.
Also, what an interesting phrase to, like, when are you ever going to whip that phrase out?
I am tall and also pretty?
Yeah. Because I'm like, surely you'd be speaking to somebody in person. And then you don't need to tell them what you are.
I don't know about you, but I'm saying it to myself every day in the mirror.
It's like an affirmation. Sorry, I didn't even think about that.
I'm like, with my 8-inch platform, I am tall and also very pretty.
Yeah. Fuck, sorry. I came from this one perspective of thinking things I didn't think about from another perspective. Saying that every single night before you go on stage as well.
Oh yeah. You really got to psych yourself up before getting on stage.
Yeah, so I suppose that was going to be one of my other questions as well. Working in pole dancing, like that's what most people's, I think, nightmares would be, is being like very little
on stage in your underwear.
Little clothing, having to perform. I mean, always by yourself, is it? Like you're solely by yourself for the most part.
You know, the funny thing is, pole dancing, especially when I first started, was predominantly a real solo venture.
Yeah.
But I come from a very ensemble background. Like, I went to university for theater, and one of the things I majored in was creative ensemble.
What is that? I saw that. And
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
So creative ensemble is, we basically learn the skills entailed to write, direct, and perform your own shows.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, because the idea was, if you only ever audition for other people, you never have any power or control over your career.
You'll also never work. You'll maybe work one day a year.
Yeah. So it's very tough to fit into the narrow vision that somebody else has of what this hypothetical character is, whereas if you create your own work, but part of the skills of creating your own work is being able to engage as an ensemble, because nobody ever does any of this completely alone.
No, God, no.
Yeah, whereas in pole dancing, and especially in competitive pole dancing, it's you chasing a single crown and a sash for your own social media. And it's never been for me. Like, I don't have a competitive spirit. I have like a...
Really?
Yeah, I've got a bit of an artsy-fartsy spirit.
I think that's nice. I think that's more healthy, honestly. I'm quite competitive, and I don't think it's a good thing to be.
Yeah. Well, actually, so I was telling you before that one of your other guests, Max Price...
Yes.
His little sister is an internationally famous championship pole dancer.
Which blew my mind, honestly.
Yeah.
That family is too talented.
Super talented.
And if they can stop, please, and leave some of the talent to the rest of us. If you're listening, Max.
Max.
I'm coming
allegedly.
for you.
But yeah, they're a super generous and like kind and humble family. But Amy and I used to train together a whole ton, and we would always go to the same shows and competitions and stuff.
So would you compete against each other there as well?
Yeah, sometimes we would compete against each other. But there was this one show that gave a lot of creative freedom within the guidelines of the competition.
Yep.
And she wanted to do like a white swan, like a Swan Lake show.
Oh, okay, yep.
So I pitched to her, why don't we team up and we'll guest appear in each other's shows where she's the white swan and I'm the black swan.
Oh.
And, you know, in a competition environment, it's not really standard to collaborate with your competitors.
No, I couldn't imagine so, right?
No, so it was very atypical, and so we went ahead and we did that. And the storyline from her show, we had specifically requested to put her before intermission and me after intermission,
Nice.
so we had this cohesiveness. And the idea was I was trapped in a picture frame as the black swan, so she does her dance, and this was her show, but then by the end of it, I escape and I trap her in the picture frame.
Oh, sick.
And then when part 2 starts, which was my competition piece, she's trapped in the picture frame and I get to roam free, dancing and pole dancing and stuff. And then she escapes. And then we finish off together. And so I think that was sort of the start of me, I don't know, I guess just being really aggressive about this shouldn't just be solo competition. Like, let's do more creative theatrical things.
Yeah, right. Because I imagine that would lend itself to it as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a show at the end of the day.
Yeah. And what I was really finding is that, you know, if you go into a competition, everyone has the same guidelines.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's even a theme for the overall competition.
Oh, okay.
Like, for example, next week I'm doing a show where the theme is Welcome to the Jungle. And we're going to see so many jungle-themed snakes and lions and whatever. And so I always want to figure out, like, how can I create a point of difference?
I like that as well, personally, because like what you're saying, like how many Jungle Book things are going to be in there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, loosely jungle, like a snake. And you're like,
yeah.
Cool. But if you make it something outside of the box... I mean, like, even if you don't win, at least it's fucking interesting.
Well, and it's funny you mention winning, because I have to say, when you are very intent on being artsy in a competitive world, you will not win.
No. But...
because it's not, like, my shows often don't fit criteria.
Yeah.
But I just want time on stage. You know?
I think a lot of the time, people remember those shows a lot more as well. They maybe aren't, like, the technically most... judgeable shows.
Yeah.
But people will walk away and be like, that one, the Swan ones,
Yeah.
They're fucking sick.
Yeah, and I think probably some of my career highlights in the pole community have actually been invisible.
Yeah.
So certain things like when a competition changes the judging criteria because of something I did or because of something people like me have done, those are things that, you know, you're not going to get your name published on the internet because of something like that. But knowing that you've had that impact on shifting the focus of the community, you kind of can gain some satisfaction from that in a different way.
Well, that's great as well, because like you've made a positive change then. And is that a positive change or is that a negative change?
Some of the changes that I've inadvertently caused, I'm on the fence about.
Oh, I just thought this was all a good thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes you put things, you kind of like make a statement, but you have no control over how that statement is going to evolve over time.
Right.
So, for example, because I've always been a real like story and character development performer within the pole community, and that was very successful, particularly early in my career, where not many people were doing that.
Yeah.
It has now, in a lot of competitions, become like a guideline for competition. You must have a character, you must have a theme. But these are not actors. They don't know how to communicate in that way. They just want to pole dance. And so some people really get into it and really thrive, and other people are like, I don't fucking know. I just wanted to put on a cute outfit and dance.
Yeah.
And I feel like they should be allowed.
Yeah, I totally get that as well. You see that quite a lot in the circus space as well, where there's some amazing performers, but they're maybe not like your MC style of person as well. So then forcing them to try and carry a show with that style of performance can be almost a detriment to them.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you can be doing the most amazing acrobatics, but if you're not, like, talking to the crowd afterwards, sometimes people are just like, oh, they're just doing flips.
Yeah.
Like, watch the flips then.
Yeah.
They're fucking amazing. Try do any of that.
Because the thing is, if you're watching a 2-hour show where there's like 20 different competitors, if someone's telling character and story and someone else is doing acrobatics and gymnastics and someone else is blowing fire, like that's going to make like a real night of entertainment.
Right.
But if you just see spatchcock, 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 which is the name of a pole trick.
Right,
FYI.
Cool.
It's one of the most famous pole tricks ever.
Okay.
And right now, in particular, it's having a real heyday where, you know, every time I judge a pole competition, 50% of the competitors are doing it.
You got your little bingo card every time, and you're like,
I got bingo. Yeah. There was a spatchcock, a heel clack, and a bird of paradise. So, like, for me, I'm impressed by the physical ability.
Yep.
But I'm more impressed if they can take me on a journey.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's kind of all I care about.
Because that's like the same in stunts as well. I'm like, you can do the most amazing looking stuff, but like...
You can do all the flips and shit, but if I don't know why you're punching him in the face, also, I want to know why did you choose to backhand him instead of jab him? Because
a storyline throughout it as well. Like, I'm obviously... I'm nowhere near the height of certain stunt performers, and like so much respect to everyone out there, but some of them are not good actors. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they've made a bad choice there, or they've just made no choice as well, which is tough too, because you're like, at least try and show something through this. Yeah. Like, you can move very technically and it's amazing, but there's just nothing here.
I just always appreciate variety.
Yes.
So I want to see both the gymnasts and the actors coexisting
in harmony.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's the variety that makes things exciting.
Also, it's nice not to just watch the same thing over and over all night as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, speaking of judging criteria, the other rule that I inadvertently caused to change, which I am sad about.
Uh-oh.
When I first started competing, because pole dance is like traditionally very sexy.
Yep.
Everyone was dancing to these sort of like bitches and hoes songs where they're like fucking and booties and shit, and I was just like, it's just so vulgar and like so overtly sexual. I was like, how can I do something that is like just so not anti that, but so contrasting to that. And so I ended up dancing to Lonely Island's I'm on a Boat.
Oh, what?
Do you know this song?
Oh, absolutely.
It's Andy Samberg, so I'm on a boat, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And every other word is motherfucker.
Yeah. Because
part of my thing is like, all right, if we're going to talk about fucking all the time, let's just choose a song where every other word's motherfucker. And the particular competition that I was doing it in, they, for whatever reason, didn't hear my music until the night before.
Okay.
And so their technical director called me the night before and said, you can't dance to this song. And I said, I don't have a show if you take this song away from me. And, you know, bless them, they found a clean version where every motherfucker had been replaced with, like, a silly sound effect.
Oh, wow. That would be distracting, right?
Yeah, and I had really choreographed it to punctuate the motherfuckers because I thought it was funny. And so I said to them, okay, I will do the dress rehearsal to the censored version to see how it feels, and then we choose. Yep. And so I asked my coach to come with me, and I was like, no matter what, you cannot let them make me do the censored version. I have to do the swearing version. And so in the end, they said, let her do what she wants, do her vision. And then shortly after that, competition started to really explicitly say no excessive swearing.
Wait, that's excessive is a weird one, isn't it? Because you're like, subject matter doesn't matter in that respect.
I know. I'm like, why is it not to joyfully sing about being on a motherfucking boat and like feeling the glory of being the king of the world? That's not okay. Yeah. But what is okay is objectifying women and fucking hoes and popping bottles with money and just bills fucking everywhere. Right. That's okay.
And it's such a, like, I'm on a boat is like, it's not a childish song, but it's like it's
joy.
So juvenile and like silly and fun. Yeah. And it's like
for me, it's a song about pure joy.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if you've ever been on a boat, but you know, you stand at the front with your hair blowing in the wind.
It's fucking fun, man.
You feel like the king of the world.
Exactly, right? And how dare they try and take that away from you?
I know. I mean, I could definitely see where they were coming from. I have.
It's also strange, though, isn't it? Because again, like what we kind of went back to talking about before, like it is people just flying around in their underwear as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, is this...
I was really proud of that show because my costume was a Sailor Moon costume that I handmade with my sister-in-law.
Oh, shit.
She's like a stunning costumer. And so when people first saw me there, and they kind of had a sense of like that I tend to do a lot of anime and cartoon-style performances.
Oh, fuck yes.
So I'm a very atypical pole dancer because I'm not sexy, I'm juvenile. So everyone thought I was going to do a Sailor Moon show, and I was like, not exactly.
You got half of that, right?
Kind of a sailor.
Yeah. But, like, again, that kind of stuff is, like, it's people in such undress. And again, like what you said, pole dancing was always seen as sexy. Mm-hmm. And you're like, that's all fine. But we're not having naughty words.
Yeah. Well, I've come to realize in my advanced years in this community.
Oh, yes.
I've started to wonder if some of the shows I've competed in, they maybe felt a little bit offended how much I was trying to break the rules. And so I've tried to keep an eye on being respectful while trying to push boundaries because I it's so much work to put on an event. Oh. And I never want the event organizers or the judges to feel like I'm being disrespectful because they're going to all this work and outlaying all this money to give us a performance opportunity.
Exactly, right? And you don't want to seem like you're disrespecting them.
Just a dick.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a dick.
Yeah, that's always nice not to be seen as a dick, I suppose.
Yeah.
And never your intention as well by the sounds of it, too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it would be a different thing if you turned up and you'd be like, nah, fuck you, I'm doing this horrible dance. And I'm dressed in a full, like, robe that I'm never taking off. Which I would imagine is impossible to dance in anyway.
I did try to show up... the first time not the first time, but there is a show that is like notoriously one of the most sexy shows in the world. It's Miss Pole Dance Australia, and it has this really grand, exciting rock star feel with glitter cannons, and it is all of the sexy and cool people congregating in one sexy and cool room.
Oh man, that sounds fucking awesome.
I know, but it's also very intimidating because I am neither sexy nor cool. I'm a bit dorky and violent.
Dorky and violent.
That's
maybe they're intimidated by you.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
oh man, that chick in the Sailor Moon costume's really angry.
But some of the rule breaking I do is because I know I'm not on the level of some of the 6-foot Amazons with legs up to here. Like
12 pack and all that.
Yeah, I'm built like a 12-year-old boy.
I thought 12-year-old boys are very tall nowadays, I would say.
That's true. That's true.
10-year-old
it's
boy.
The milk.
That was an absolute joke as well. And I'm editing that out of the podcast.
What? No, I thought we said no. It's uncut. But yeah, sometimes the things that I do to go against the grain is to accentuate what I am good at.
Yeah.
So I showed up at one Miss Pole Dance competition in a fleece onesie. And I dive rolled on stage. And it was a Pikachu evolution. So the onesie was like the first stage, and then I evolved into a cute bikini Pikachu.
Fuck, that's sick. That's actually so cool.
Yeah.
I love that as well because, I mean, everybody loves Pokemon, right? Even if you are beautiful and sexy and cool. Like, everyone played with Pokemon when you were a fucking kid, at least, right?
It was at the height of Pokemon Go as well.
See?
So it felt... we were talking about this, I think it was before we started recording, but, like, doing things that are timely, even if they might be shit.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the time passes, even if you perform it flawlessly, no one will care if the time has passed.
Yeah.
And so I knew that just in terms of the calendar date... I was like, this is the time to do Pokemon Go. It doesn't matter what the show is. They give me 5 minutes on stage. I'm using it for Pokemon Go. Also,
I feel like Pokemon's pretty timeless now as well. Like,
I think it has
20 years ago
now.
or now. Yeah.
Yeah. This was in 2016, I think. And so it was
maybe had a little lull. Look, if you'd done Digimon, I would have said that might have been a bad choice. If you'd gone oh, fuck, I don't even know a Digimon's name. A Greymon? Is that a Digimon? Call in now if you know any of the Digimon's names.
I have to be honest, I didn't know anything about Pokemon before deciding to do this show, but I had a couple of friends and a couple of students, well, they were students at the time, now they're friends, who were hardcore fans, and so I researched the fuck out of it, and I tested my storyline on them to say, like, is this an appropriate use of a Pokeball? Is this how evolution works? Because the thing is, when you're doing pop culture references, you have to honor the hardcore fans.
Or you will alienate them, and they will come after you.
Yes. I remember, so a friend of mine one time, she couldn't decide what show to do next, so she did a poll on Instagram.
Okay.
To be like, hey, send me suggestions. And somebody suggested Buffy the Vampire
Did a poll
Slayer.
as in P-O-L-L?
Oh, P-O-L-L.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, man, all these phrases today are going over my head.
So somebody responded with a suggestion that she do Buffy the Vampire Slayer because she's blonde and she's petite.
Okay, did she know Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
No, and I said to her, I was like, if you do this, we will never speak again.
Yeah.
Because she is also the opposite of violent. And I was like, you cannot be Buffy and be like, cute and flowy.
You could do a Cordelia, maybe. But then nobody knows who that is, really, outside of Buffy fans.
It's obscure.
A little too obscure.
Maybe.
But yeah, like, you can't do that thing, especially, I think, things which people grew up with. Like, even friend of the show, Will Jones, very talented stunt performer, avid Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, like, has prop weapons from it, has met so many of the stunt coordinators from it and stuff like that. So, like, I know, right? Like, he loves it. He has his own YouTube channel where he breaks down the fight scenes in a Buffy breakdown if anyone wants to see it.
Oh my god, I have to look that up.
But like
Buffy breakdown.
If you do a half-hearted Buffy the Vampire Slayer, people like that,
or if you don't understand Slayer lore,
exactly. Like, they will come after you. Because that's people grew up on that stuff. It's not the same with Pokemon, really, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to be so careful with Pokemon. And, majority of the times when I do pop culture references, it's because it's something that I personally am really excited about. Nice. But that was one instance where I'm like, no, this is the time. I have to learn about it now.
Yeah.
And, whenever students come to me with performance ideas, I always get the real nerdy ones who have like spreadsheets and charts, like costume charts and mood boards and stuff, which is, you tend to attract the people who are like-minded to you somehow. It's not like now I do tell people, I'm like, if you like mood boards, come coach with me. But I'm always like, if the first question is, do you want to win or do you want to make art?
Yeah.
Most of them want to make art because that's why they're coming to me. And so then we are always like, you have to research the storyline. Like I had one girl come in and do sort of like a David Attenborough snake thing.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, you need to actually research some snake behavior.
Yeah.
To be like, how do they sleep? When do they eat? How do they mate?
Become the snake.
Well, yeah, because then we can actually build the choreography to be like a day in the life of a snake, because you're having David Attenborough, AI David Attenborough, narrate.
AI Attenborough?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
AI, it was creepy.
Yeah, that sounds creepy.
I actually, you had me sign a release for this, right? And I've actually been wondering, because I'm interested in doing more voice work, and I was wondering if you were going to put in your release anything updated about, voice usage.
I get everyone to sign a little release form. It's just pure standard stuff. I'm not trying to steal anyone's voice for AI or anything like that. I'm very much against that, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Purely because that's taking work off of us, and also like it's us first, and then like it's going to be everyone else, which are deemed quote unquote like the real jobs. They're going to all get taken over by AI, and then people are going to get upset by that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not trying to take anyone's voice to replicate in podcasts in the future. It's just for this one-off time.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the technology.
I'm terrified. Like, genuinely pretty terrified. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But like, man, as soon as that starts becoming like AI is like become a doctor, so it can just diagnose you that way, and then it's going to start becoming like an accountant and stuff like that. Because where it is just now, it's kind of taking a lot of copywriting. Like it's able to replicate a lot of stuff, and it's able to simulate certain things.
Yeah. One interesting use for AI that a friend of mine mentioned is like, because English is not his first language and he's in school right now, what he's done is copy and paste text from his textbook, put it into AI and say, can you summarize this for me? And summarize it in simpler terminology.
Yep.
And when he told me that, it immediately reminded me of a post I saw on Instagram where somebody was studying some really obscure, complicated theorem and asked AI to summarize it in the voice of RuPaul. And granted, I have no idea what this thing is. I can't even remember now. But when I read it in RuPaul's voice, I was like, this makes so much more sense than the textbook terminology.
I like breaking down the language barriers, and I do think like AI definitely has its place with a lot of that stuff as well. And like, man, if AI could make Shakespeare interesting to me, I'm just not fucking on board with any of that style of language. But like, maybe I should do that actually. Just be like, just make this normal, and then
make it conversational.
Yeah. Make like this so it's not so pretentious.
Yeah, make it like 2020s conversational.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would go, because even when I was in high school, like, you study Romeo and Juliet and stuff like that, and they tell you not to read the Cliff's Notes.
It's like, how the fuck am I meant to know what's going on then?
Yeah, like, do they have Cliff Notes here? Is that what it's called?
I don't know. I know what it is, though. Yeah,
it's like the summarizing in layman's terms. Yeah. And then, over the years, they actually released editions where they would have the Shakespearean text on one page.
Yes.
And then the other page would be the modern day vernacular.
The English term, yeah.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, in terms of making things accessible, if you don't do that, then people get left behind because they check out.
Yeah, I was exactly the same in school, because we had that exact style of thing where it was the Shakespearean on one side and then you had the translated one on the other side, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'm sure he's painting beautiful prose, but I genuinely don't know what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the story is. I only kind of know what every story is because of, I don't know, like, everybody kind of knows all the Shakespeare stories.
Movie adaptations and stuff like that.
Like, give me a Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet. I don't know what the fuck they're saying, but it's beautiful and it's really fun to watch. Oh my god,
it's so funny that that's your example, because I hate that movie so much.
Really?
I hate it so much.
Johnny Leguizamo.
I love him.
Yes.
Okay, so he's the best part, by far the best part of that whole film. But I do have to say, like, all throughout high school, I studied Shakespeare, but I didn't really understand Shakespeare until I studied it in theater school. And I had one teacher in particular who, would assign us scenes and monologues to different people. But what we would do is we would comb through the text word for word by word to find all the jokes.
Right.
Because there is so much comedy, even in the tragedy.
Yeah.
There's so much imagery. There's so many dick jokes.
Yeah.
So many dick jokes.
It's joke as old as time. But, like...
Every time they talk about a sword, they're not talking about a sword.
Yeah. And
every time.
So much, like, weird sex stuff in it as
yes!
well. Like...
Daggers.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, I think, high school really takes out the fun of all that. And also in high school, they're not going to be like, yo, guys... When he's talking about a sword here, he's actually talking about his dick.
Yeah, let's talk about daggers and sheaths, children.
Yeah.
Like, no, they can't have that conversation with you. But I do also wonder, like, there's other things we could be studying in terms of literature when
Give
you're
me, like,
teenage.
any modern play. There's so many more interesting plays nowadays.
That are it will make you more aware of your contemporary society in which you currently live. Yeah.
Or even just anything that's like, give me just a good comedy. Like, it doesn't need to change the world. Just give me something that's engaging.
Yeah.
Jesus. Hello. Now, before we get into our next story, I've got to tell you the main reason why I'm able to fumble through my awkward and embarrassing day-to-day occasions. Coffee. Now, fortunately for myself and all of the listeners, we have paired with one of Melbourne's best coffee companies, Coffee on Q, a coffee worth talking about. Get ready to caffeinate yourself through your next awkward moment with Coffee on Q's signature Elevate blend. Crafted in-house with precision, each sip delivers delightful flavour notes of strawberry, chocolate and marmalade. And here's the deal you won't want to miss. Coffee on Q is offering an exclusive discount to all our listeners. Simply use the code WBFT15 at checkout to enjoy an incredible 15% off all coffee purchases. That's right, WBFT15 is a key to savings, making sure you're properly awake to remember your next big embarrassing moment. Now, this code is valid for all coffee products, so make sure you stock up on your favourites. And the best part? You can use the code WBFT15 as many times as you like. So don't miss out on the opportunity to enjoy the finest coffee Melbourne has to offer. Simply visit Coffee on Q, and that's QCUE.com.au, and enter the discount code WBFT15 at checkout to unlock 15% off your next coffee order. That's WBFT15 at coffeeonq.com.au. Coffee on Q, where awkward moments pair perfectly with your daily cup.
Yeah,
anyway, we've gone on such a tangent
so
here.
So many tangents. I don't even remember we're supposed to be talking. I'm embarrassed by how far we've diverged.
No, it's okay. This is not the furthest I've diverged on this podcast as well, I'm going to be honest with you. So I think what I was originally asking as well is, do you find that you get embarrassed easily anymore? Because... I mean, as we have mentioned, you do fly around on stage in your underwear for the best part of... Well, I mean, how long have you been doing it for now as well, for a start?
My first ever pole class, I think, was in 2012.
2012, so what's that, like 12 years now? Yeah, so like 12 years of flying around in your underwear.
Yes, but my shamelessness predates pole dancing.
Oh, does it? Well, that's good. I think everyone needs a bit more shamelessness, honestly.
You know, when I was thinking about every really, like, deeply humiliating experience in my life, they had to do with some form of clothing removal.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that you really had to dig for that word removal there. Okay.
Because I was like, they weren't costume malfunctions. Sometimes, like, okay. Oh, this is not a story I was intending to tell you. The first time I auditioned for theater school.
Okay.
I auditioned for a few schools at the same time because I didn't know anything about acting. I was like, I had secretly wanted to do it all throughout high school, but had never, like, actioned it in any way. I just, like, quietly thought about it while I played sports and music and stuff, but never really drama. And so when it came time to audition for university programs, my first ever audition, I didn't even know how to memorize lines, let alone learn a monologue and then deliver a monologue.
It's crazy, like, what you think you have to do in a monologue compared to what you need to do in a monologue when you're first starting out is like night and day. It's so different.
Yeah. Even when I think back on... Okay, so this was when tearaway pants were very popular.
When was that? I must have missed that trend.
Well, so the thing is, like...
We're talking about, like, Magic Mike tearaway pants, are we? Or are we talking about,
like Adidas
poppers.
Buttons down the side.
Yeah.
You call them poppers?
Yes. Oh, sorry, in Scotland we called them poppers.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I thought tearaway pants, I just think male stripper.
Okay, yeah. Pants. But similar type of tearing away. And so even that alone, the fact that I wore tearaway pants to the audition was already an indication of how much I didn't know how to audition.
I don't know.
I didn't even know how to dress appropriately for an audition.
Maybe you've done the same thing that you do with some of the pole competitions. So like, she's coming in, she's changing the rules on us. All right, this is interesting.
I'd like to pretend I was doing it on purpose, but what actually happened is, and it might have been a Shakespearean monologue.
I'm sure they had tearaway tracksuit pants back then.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even remember standard English, let alone Shakespearean English. So I start delivering my monologue in front of a panel of very serious-looking professors.
Oh my God, why is everybody teaching acting so stern as well?
So serious.
Yeah.
And all of the other audition applicants were sitting in chairs in a half circle around me.
In the room. Oh, I've done that once before for drama school, and it was awful.
What I know now, having actually got into, not this drama school, but a lot of people who auditioned for drama school were like Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in their high school production of Joseph. And they were Sandy and they were Danny Zuko. And it's like, they were the best in whatever town they came from.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never done any of this. So, the circle of judgment is behind me. The panel of grimaces are in front of me.
The line of judgment is in front of you.
Yes. And I forgot my Shakespeare lines. Didn't know what to do, so I tore off my pants and then glided off and sat back down in my chair.
I'm sorry, wait, what?
I don't know why. I was just like, I need something to punctuate the finish of this. So I just tore my pants off in a flourish and then sat back down in my chair and then proceeded to watch all of these other stunning actors deliver actual monologues.
Now, this is the part in the podcast where I love, where I hear a story like that and it's quite short and sharp, but I have so many fucking questions. But did you finish your monologue?
No, because I went up on a line and there was no hope of me getting back on track because I had no techniques back then.
Yeah.
I had no idea about, going back to the last line. I could remember repeating the last line I just said,
Trying to improv your way back into the scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had no physical actions to bring me back on track. Because now a lot of what I do, because physical performing is very much my forte.
Yep.
And so a lot of the times I'll build actions into my learning.
Yes.
So that if I forget my words, I remember my actions.
Your body remembers.
Which are connected to my words. But I didn't have any of these tools.
Of course not.
I didn't even like strangers.
Yeah.
I still am nervous around strangers.
Especially acting strangers. They're all psychopaths.
They're all A-type personalities who want to tell you their resumes, and I'm just like, I dance professionally in my underwear.
Yeah. I'd much rather be like, bro, what anime are you into? You don't need to tell me what musical you were in 10 years ago.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of theater school was, especially the first year of theater school, was everyone just trying to prove their value.
Yes.
And I was like, I was a running back on my football team.
Which I'm sure they were all terrified of.
Yeah. I played clarinet. And I was the first...
Probably less terrified of that one, but yeah.
I was the first chair in the second row.
That might have been slightly terrifying, I suppose.
You could see me in full view from the audience.
And that's all that counts. Doesn't matter how I played, as long as you could see my face.
They could see my fingers not moving in sync with all the other clarinetists.
I did that in guitar as well. Yep. In classical guitar club.
Guitar club,
yes. The Love cool that. Guitar,
yeah.
When I said I wanted to play guitar in high school, they're like, yeah, you can play Spanish guitar. And it was just that weird, like...
Is it just sexier?
No, it's worse. It's way worse. Nothing I did in high school was sexy as well. Like, I think the opposite, complete opposite. But, sorry, I need to go back to this audition story as well.
Yeah. I was trying to distract you.
Yeah. I know, I'm
Which
sorry.
was the logic behind the pants.
Yes.
I was trying to distract them from my
did the
humiliation.
Pants fully come off?
Oh, yeah. I was an aficionado with tearaway pants because I played a lot of sports when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And so for dramatic effect, I used to tear my pants off just in the cafeteria because I always had my training uniform underneath.
Was that what you were wearing on the day as well?
No, I was not like wearing my football uniform on the day.
That would have been a pretty cool choice.
But you know what? I realize now in retrospect, there was probably a level of comfort and confidence that those pants gave me.
Yeah.
Because I was really good at football.
Your
and
safety pants.
Yeah, they were my safety pants. And even to this day, my safety, like right now, I'm wearing shorts that have buttons on the side. There was a comfort in the reaction I would get from people when I'd tear my pants off at school.
How did the reaction go in the room?
Just probably like your face right now is just utter confusion.
I'm smiling, I have to say. I love this story.
Yeah, I mean that was
confusion would have probably been up higher on the day if I was there.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking? Sorry, what were you wearing under the pants?
Oh, when I was in high school, I was a very avid male boxer brief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was a pair of male boxer briefs?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have to go and sit back down and button all of your pants back up, or did you sit back down in the boxer briefs?
I'm pretty sure I just sat there with them in my lap because it's a cumbersome process.
It's very distracting, especially if someone else is doing an audition.
It's still audition. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to put on my own performance over here. It's called Clown.
It's called upstaging all you fucks. But again, like that is kind of quintessential clowning as well. So maybe they're like, she knows Gaulier. Yep.
She does not. Actually, next week I'm going to do my first ever intro to clown workshop.
Yes, next week at time of recording, which maybe was last week at time of release.
Yes.
So how did it go?
I'm going to have loved it.
Yes, nice.
I already know. I actually had a sword teacher, a Belgian sword teacher, who had some clowning experience. So sometimes when he'd be teaching and if the students were taking too long to process whatever he was trying to teach us, he would like pull out a folding fan and he'd start doing some clowning things, which was really funny because he was an older, fully gray-haired, bearded man who looked so serious. But you could tell right away he was bored with whatever you were trying to do. So he'd just take his fan out and he'd start, doing these like real clown eye movements and head movements while he was fanning himself.
They're some of the best clowns are the terrifying human beings, but they can really get in touch with their, I don't know, I've done a small bit of clowning in drama school 1,000 years ago, so I actually know what it's called, but like they really get in touch with that silly side inside them. Yeah. And you're like, you're terrifying, but I want to laugh at you as well just now. I don't know how this is going.
Yeah. I'm just very excited. It's a 2-day, like 6 hours each day.
Nice little intensive, yes.
Yeah,
are you bringing the tearaway pants?
So those ones I don't have anymore because I did too many knee slides in them. So eventually, like holes burnt.
Got rid of them,
and they were a plasticky texture.
That plastic that like melts to your skin.
And that's exactly what. So there was a cotton layer underneath, but you could see the browning of the burn on the black. That
plastic was like, I don't know if they're still legally allowed to make that plastic anymore.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't.
Hazardous to both the environment and person.
Yeah. But I do still own tearaway pants that I occasionally wear.
Are they going in the suitcase?
I mean, I'm thinking about it now.
I mean, I'd say maybe it didn't work back then, but maybe you can bring this act back now.
The thing is, through my pole career, I've made so many pairs of tearaway articles of clothing, but for a lot of my pole shows, they've been Velcro because you don't want to forecast that you're going to be tearing them away.
No, you turn up with poppers or buttons on the. You're like, when are these coming off?
Yeah. And because you mentioned Magic Mike, that's something that sometimes for me is a giveaway. I'm like, you have to seal up the tearaway.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not as like.
Yeah.
I want to gasp.
I feel like a lot of the time people going to see the Magic Mike style shows are like, those pants better be coming off or I'm fucking walking out.
Yeah, but you don't want to know how.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to know when or how. You just want to be like, oh my God.
I want him to weirdly and awkwardly undress just by taking them down and just
turn around and bend over and then wiggle.
Yeah, but keep his shoes on and then do that weird thing where you're trying to step on the leg to get your foot out.
Yeah, and you've still got your ankle socks on.
Exactly, right? That's the Channing Tatum I want to see.
Yes, the real him.
Yes, I enjoyed the Magic Mike movies, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But that would have been so much better if he'd done that in them.
I didn't make it through the first one.
Really? I quite enjoy the cast, maybe more so than a lot of the subject matter. Like, they're all very talented as well, but like...
See, I don't really know much about the process, but when I was watching it, I'm like, are they improvising this whole film right now?
I don't know.
It just, their style of conversation, I was like, it seems like no one has any idea where this scene is going.
Maybe that's also just the world of male strippers.
It could be.
I don't want to say anything disparaging. All very talented individuals, but I don't know what they're like.
I've known some male strippers. Like, well, I've know strippers. Like, you just meet a lot of strippers through pole dancing.
Yeah, oh, that would make a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
But if you didn't know, you would never know. Yeah,
I found that with quite a lot of people. I mean, we've even had strippers on the podcast before as well. But then, actually, I have met a few male strippers. You can usually tell with them, if I'm being honest.
Oh, okay. I mean, because, again, it comes back to this variety thing. The more variety you have, the more success you're going to have.
Yep.
So if every single stripper in a club is a clone, no one's going to do well that night.
Everyone's taking their pants off exactly the same way.
But I mean, in terms of vibe and personality, you got to have
even
that diversity.
Even like the characters and stuff as well, hey?
Yeah, for sure.
I love a little character.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because just as with any audience, people like certain things and gravitate towards certain things, and they are not the same things.
No.
And so, yeah, whatever weird little pocket you seem to fill, you just have to own it.
Because those people are going to be like the adoring fans, whereas everyone else is like, oh no, it was good. But if you make like those 10 people in the audience super excited that night, you're like, well, they're going to come back to see specifically you.
Yeah.
Plus, they're the ones that are going fucking crazy whilst you're on stage. Whereas everyone else is like, yay.
Yeah.
Bums.
Yeah. I think it's a question of whether or not you are willing to play your hit.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, they sort of begrudge their hit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I don't want to be
seen as
the
just
cute
this
little Asian.
Yep.
It was like, well, fuck, you fucking are, so eat it.
I mean, yeah, like, it's like with typecasting and acting. You're like, yeah, you can complain about being typecast all you want, but you're getting cast.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, why am I never going to be cast as Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Like, because she's a gigantic Amazon.
Yeah.
And you are not.
Chuck on some of those platforms, maybe, for the next time. Platforms
like,
and the tearaway pants to have a Wonder Woman costume underneath.
Okay, I would just say, if I were to ever get cast as Wonder Woman, the entire rest of the cast would have to be under 5 feet tall.
You can do that. I've seen movies.
Tom Cruise does this.
Yeah, exactly. You can dig them into trenches so when they walk next to you, they're all really short as well. That's genuinely happened in certain movies.
Yeah.
And I know I'm saying that like it's fact. Look it up, guys.
It does happen.
Yeah.
I've been made to stand on a box a time or two.
Apple box. Have you been made to stand on an apple box in a scene?
Yes,
had
of course.
maybe 3 months last year of working on a few different projects where every single one of my female scene partners had to stand on an apple box.
Yes.
And I loved it so much.
Oh my God.
And it was, I don't know, do you find it humiliating or do you find it like a weird thing to stand? So as well, sorry, for people listening, apple boxes is just a fancy term for a little wooden box in the film industry.
Jeans.
Yeah. There you go. See? We got a fucking little song for the podcast now. But yes, do you find it like humiliating to stand on, because there's way more humiliating stuff to do on camera, to be honest with you?
Yeah, humiliation comes in so many forms. I've been this height since I was 12, so I'm not unaccustomed to it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I kept waiting for my growth spurt. I was like, any day now. It
sucks as well, doesn't it, when you're that age and you're like, I'm gonna get taller, I didn't get tall till I was like 18.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm quite tall for my age, I'm average for my age, I'm short for any age.
Yeah, and it was definitely like around puberty when all of my friends were taller, and then eventually I was just everyone's boobs height.
Yeah.
And like, oh well, eventually one day my boobs will grow too. Any day now.
At least that's like more possible. I don't know if you can add 6 inches to your height now.
Yeah,
but you can change it with anything else.
That is actually true. Because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine because we used to work for an artistic director.
Oh yeah.
Who didn't understand how boobs fluctuate.
Oh, okay, yep. I got you.
Yeah. And so every time it came to costuming questions, he just could not fathom that sometimes within 1 month, you might fluctuate a cup size. And he would be like, well, why doesn't this bra fit you anymore? Why do you need so many bras? And then he absolutely couldn't fathom circus performers having large busts. He just assumed that if you're an acrobat or you're some kind of aerialist, you're probably one body type. And so he just like was not prepared for breast size fluctuation or big busted aerialists. And
I feel like both of those things are very standard knowledge. I mean,
it's nice to hear
bizarre.
you say that, because we were really questioning, is this not standard knowledge? And I get, I guess for
maybe a slightly older generation.
No.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm out of excuses for this person.
Yeah, and I guess it does depend on who you're surrounded with.
That's true.
If you don't have people that you regularly talk about hormonal fluctuations and body changes, you might have no idea that that's happening. Some of your listeners might not know, but now you do.
There you go. See, you've all been fucking educated as well. Yeah, but I feel like I suppose that is very true, isn't it? It depends on who you, especially as an adult, who you hang out with a lot. Like, you don't find out a lot of new things, which is what I quite like the old entertainment industry, because you hang out with so many different people in there.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Your childhood has to do with it as well. Like,
That's
if
true.
you grew up in a family that didn't talk about bodily functions, you'll probably in your adult life end up gravitating towards similar people. And then you never have a conversation about poop.
So funny.
You're like, what?
Like, I grew up super, strict, didn't talk about
Poop-oriented?
anything. Nothing. No, just we didn't talk about anything.
Oh, wow,
I didn't
okay.
even have sex education in school.
Yeah.
So I just had to find all that stuff out when I'm older. But now I'm like, oh wow, what else didn't I know? And then I suppose you kind of have to push through the repressed, being like, oh, you talk about this with your friends? Oh God, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh.
Well, the acting community and the performance community is a
they'll
great
tell
place
you
to
whether
learn.
you want to know or not.
The number of buttholes I've seen since I became a performer is just standard.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to hear.
That's how you know
something
you've
good
made
has come out from your performance career as well. It is weird as well because, in the pole, I was going to say atmosphere, pole
like in the community
environment. Yeah, you must see a lot of your friends that most people wouldn't see. Of their friends or even of most human beings, even with their intimate partner.
I feel like I've been talking about this a lot recently, and maybe it's because I have a podcast now, and so we've been doing a lot of reminiscing.
Yes.
But the first time I ever competed in Australia, because I'm originally from Canada.
Yep.
So first time I competed in Australia, I combed through the guidelines because at the time there were divisions for semi-pro and pro, and I didn't know where I fit in, so I was kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna apply for this and see what happens. And one of the things it said clear as day, you must be an Australian resident. And I'm obviously at the time I wasn't. I didn't know anybody in the community, so I thought I'm just gonna show up. I was on a visitor visa or something, a holiday visa or something,
working holiday or something like that.
Not even.
Oh, not even.
Just a tourist.
Oh wow.
So I just thought, I'm not going to speak to anybody. They won't be able to hear my accent, and then no one will know I'm not from here.
Yep.
And then I ended up placing in that competition. So I was like,
I need to talk.
Nobody. And so then I came off stage, and I was wearing a stretch vinyl suffocating superhero costume, and I couldn't undress myself. And so I just went up to a girl who I sort of knew, and I just bent over in front of her, face towards her, so I wasn't putting my butt at her, but I bent my head down to her, and I was like, can you peel this thing over my head and shoulders, please, because I couldn't undress myself. And things like that sometimes happen where...
And she didn't bat an eyelid?
Not at all. Because it's so standard when, you're helping people tuck things and tape things, and just everyone is so helpful. Because they know they're going to need help at some time
Exactly.
as well.
They're going to need tucked and taped. And
people are like, here, use my body glue.
Yeah. Body glue.
Oh, I could have really used body glue this one time.
See, I know about Hollywood tape, which is a very fine double-sided tape for anyone that's not familiar with it.
Yeah.
I used to wear a lot of nipple tassels for a job.
Oh,
so
good on you.
Yeah, I got very familiar with Hollywood tape. But what's body glue?
Well, so I didn't actually know it existed until too late.
Yes.
So I was doing this show. Okay, really early in my career, I did a Fifth Element show because my partner loves Fifth Element.
Yes, love it.
This is one of these instances where I didn't know anything about it, so I had to research it, and I researched the costume design, and because obviously the bandage costume is iconic.
Lilu, where are we? Lilu multipass.
Yep. Yes, exactly. So I found an Etsy wig designer who had a Lilu wig. Like I said, my sister-in-law was making costumes at the time, so she made me a bandage costume.
Oh, sick.
It was stunning. Everybody loved the costume, loved the look. And at the time, people didn't really know me in the community. And I always find that is the best time to surprise people because they don't expect you to be able to do anything. And so it was one of the most challenging shows, in terms of level of difficulty. And this is back when I was I want to fit the criteria and I want to do a good job.
Right.
And in my very last trick, and I swear to God, it was last 5 seconds of the show, I slipped and I fell. And so it haunted me for years, literal years. This was 2014. And so then 2019, I finally decided I'm going to redo that show.
Right.
And I adjusted it because, my skill had changed, my body had changed a bit, but the costume still fit and it was great. And I went and I competed. And I was so excited because everything was going well. And even at the very end, I was arms in the air, took a bow. And then afterwards, I came off stage and we waited backstage. And then the judging panel eventually came backstage to announce the winners. And one of the judges, who she's one of my employers, she just came over and she's like, next time, tape your costume to your body. And I was like, what? I didn't know I had a nip slip.
Oh, wow.
So it was not a full nip slip, but it was the bandage over my chest had come down far enough that you could see my areola on one side. And that was enough for me to get disqualified.
What? Because that disqualifies you?
Yeah, because this particular competition is 100% sport-based.
Wow.
They only want to see clean precision athleticism. And so I showed up, just...
And an areola was enough.
Areola exposed. Yeah, and so, that was another one of my very haunting experiences. But afterwards, one of the girls I was competing against, she was like, I was gonna offer you my body glue, but I thought, you've been doing this for so long, you know what you're doing, so I didn't want to offend you with my offer of body glue. I was that is simultaneously the sweetest and most frustrating thing to have ever heard. And she was like, yeah, for future reference, this is the brand. It looks like a roll-on deodorant.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you just roll it directly on your skin and then press the costume onto you.
And it's just like a I don't know if that's a brand here, like a Pritt stick, like a very fine glue.
I don't know
probably
what
a very
that brand
British
is.
thing.
But yeah, I think it's just a real strong sort of, she said it even sweating doesn't deter it. Because I find with Hollywood tape, sometimes Hollywood tape rolls or sometimes you can pull it off and stuff.
Especially if it's material, it can stick itself into itself and then just have a weird fold.
Yeah. And then it takes forever to even try and remove it from the fabric.
If you forget it's on there and accidentally wash it as well.
And then it's just a lint.
Yes, it does. It cleans out your washing machine probably, but it's gross. So does body glue, is that easy enough to remove afterwards as well? Then are you peeling off your first layer of skin?
Well, so I never ended up using it because I never had.
So you've never used it to this day?
To this day, I've never used it. But this other performer, she swears by it. She says she doesn't use Hollywood tape or double-sided tape or anything like that anymore. And yeah, I just.
Do you want to? And we're not sponsored. Do you want to give out the brand just in case there's?
I have no idea. I have a picture of it somewhere in the recesses of my photos. But,
yes.
I haven't tried it, but I do sometimes think maybe I'll do that show a third time.
I was going to say, has Lilu had a redemption yet?
No, because now it's to this point where I'm like, well, if I do it a third time and something happens again, then the show's just cursed.
What could be falling is not ideal, obviously.
Yeah.
Was that a pretty hard fall?
No, it was one of these. It was one of these falls where it happened on the literal easiest move.
That's sometimes what happens with falls. Though, the easiest trick you're just not paying attention to, really.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
It might have actually also been a wet spot on the pole because this. And I remember this show so vividly because you know how mistakes in your life they replay for years to come.
That's what this podcast is.
Haunting. Yeah. And I remember, so the very first move in that show was I was lying face down with my arms underneath my body and I do a press up chest stand. So that's when your legs just rise up into the air, sort of vertically, but your chest and your chin are still like flat on the floor.
Shit.
And I was really excited to start a show with this really strength-based move. And this was one of the only shows I've ever been in where they start with the curtain down. Most pole competitions don't bring the curtain up and down between every performer, but back then they did for this one. So I'm lying there waiting for the curtain to come up, and I could hear the organizer screaming at one of the pole cleaners for leaving the pole slippery and wet.
Oh, shit.
And then the curtain came up. And I was like...
They sabotaged you.
I was like, well, you better fucking do your show. And so I think I had been holding on to the pole extra tight.
Yeah.
Because I had heard that. But then by the end of the show, I was like so happy with how clean the show went.
Oh.
And it was like a pretty basic move, but it's not a move where you're holding the pole. It's a move where you're gripping the pole. So I was pulling the pole into my shoulder, but you're not actually like wrapping your fingers around and squeezing anything. It's just like a tension hold. And it was just like, whoom, I landed on sort of like this upper back area. But
Which is probably one of the better places to land on the human body. But...
there was enough surface area. It dissipated the force. Yeah. And then I quickly stood up and did my final trick so that I could still like finish on the pole.
Yep.
But I was like, it's one of those moments like that maybe could have changed the trajectory of my career. But, you know, I've turned out like this now? Instead.
So a blessing in disguise then, is that what you're saying? Oh, that's so hectic though.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you shouldn't. Oh, yeah. Maybe if you do the third one, then something even worse is going to happen. Or maybe it's a full redemption arc. Like,
well, okay, so it went fall and then it went areola.
Yeah.
And I don't know if on the scale of better or worse.
Yeah.
Either is better or worse. I think it's just different.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe the next time my wig would fall off.
Would that be as bad? I feel like that would be getting...
It would be, like, in terms
ideal.
Of breaking character and dashing the illusion and stuff like that.
I was thinking, like, third time would be, like, the worst. Like
the ceiling falls down?
Ceiling falls down, building catches fire, you shit yourself. Like, something that's, like,
I listened to your Gary Starr podcast when he talked about the near sharding.
See, again, and I haven't brought this up in a while as well, but my main goal with this podcast is to find someone that shit themselves on set, on stage, on camera. I have heard stories of it, and I've come so close so many times. So if you do want to do that show for a third time, I will be eternally grateful if you do happen to do that. Not forcing you into anything on the records here. I don't want to seem like I'm...
You know, what's going to happen one day is you're going to get a listener contacting you, asking to be a guest on the show.
Oh, please.
Because this is the story they have to
If you have done that, if you work in the arts and entertainment industry, and I'm not just talking about, like, if you've done this by accident sitting on the couch at home, please keep those stories to yourself. I need this in a
Unless you did it when you were live streaming.
Okay, I'll take it on Twitch. Yeah, if you did it on Twitch... Please, call in right now. I'll give out my phone number at the end of the show. I'm sorry for how excited I got by that as well.
It's because you grew up in a household that didn't regularly talk about poop. This is what happens. Talk to your kids about poop.
Yeah, because then otherwise they grow up to be a middle-aged 35-year-old white man with a podcast trying to find somebody that shit their pants on camera. And that's not what anybody wants their kid to turn out like.
I mean, I feel like if you really looked in... certain places you would find someone who does that professionally.
I want to accidentally. I could pay for this.
An accident. You want the humiliation.
I do, exactly, because if it's not awkward or embarrassing, it doesn't belong on the podcast. I could, I'm sure I could go on the internet and not even spend that long trying to look for it. And I could pay a lovely person to do this.
Okay, this is the closest I have to offer. I've got a friend who's lactose intolerant.
Oh, and how much milk and cheese do they eat? Like,
I mean, every time we're together.
Yes. Every lactose intolerant person seems to take it as a challenge.
Yeah.
I do not know why.
Well, she lives a fair ways away, so whenever I'm back in Canada, we always try to visit each other. And so, you know, we got together, had a delicious meal. I think this is how the story goes. On her drive home, she had to pull over on the highway.
Oh, wow.
And just do it on the side of the highway.
Look, I'm sure that's happened to many people, and it's unfortunate, but at least was it nighttime?
Oh my god, I just had
Oh.
I just had a vision of a horrible trauma.
Oh, please. Of you? From you?
No,
oh, okay.
This happened while I was doing Adelaide Fringe last year.
Oh my God. Can we finish on this story? Did you have any other stories? Well, I would love to hear.
This is fine, but this wasn't me doing it.
So we can tell this.
This is an Adelaide street story.
Street story? Oh, let's finish on this. If anything goes pear-shaped, this is the end of the podcast now. Otherwise, if you're happy to tell this story, we can leave out names. We can leave out the city.
No, it's all anonymous. It was a stranger, but like I just have such vivid imagery, and I think you are triggering a trauma response.
Okay, I am not equipped to deal with this. I am so sorry. Thank you for bringing this up.
I have this image in my head that took me ages to scour from my mind.
Oh fuck! But I'm sorry. Andrea.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. So my tour wife. So whenever I was on tour for this particular circus show, we would always live together, and so we must have been out grocery shopping or something, and it was during Adelaide Fringe, so there's tons of people everywhere and
hustling, bustling. The only time you should go to Adelaide as well.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Going up in from this time we're recording, I'm up there in 2 weeks. So I cannot wait.
Awesome, yes. Awesome. Well, we were just walking back to our accommodation.
Okay.
And like literally busy streets, people everywhere.
Are we talking Rundle Street Mall?
Yes, we were so close to Rundle. And we turned a corner to go down an alley to get to the front door of our building. And just as we turned the corner, there was a person bent over, bum facing us.
Oh.
And we both, I think we stopped in shock and looked for a moment too long, but we saw the exact moment of its emergence.
You saw it crowning?
We saw it crown and fall.
Oh.
And maybe they were lactose intolerant.
Stop eating cheese then. Go to the toilet. I do have to ask, was this street art? Because there's a lot of different performers around Adelaide at this time of year.
There were a lot of people around. But I think my friend and I had the distinct pleasure of looking in that exact spot in that exact moment.
Yeah.
Yes, we both have brown eyes.
Locked eyes from across the way.
We all had brown eyes.
Oh, dear me.
And I just, this is not my story, but the vivid image in my head is just so clear that I don't know how to not share it with you. So there you go.
I feel like this is your story as well, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
But isn't it amazing what you get to see on tour? How deep were we into the Fringe? Was this at the start or towards the end?
I think it was around the middle. And one of our castmates was from Adelaide, and she did kind of caution us, grocery stores close early.
Yep.
And you might see people doing in streets. She was like, don't walk the streets alone, just in case.
Yeah, fair enough.
But we were like, it's Fringe. There's people everywhere. But even still, one of the guys in our cast got harassed. We were visually assaulted by this butthole.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it's great for the art, but you do have to take care of yourself while you're there.
It's funny, isn't it? Because some of the streets are super busy. Then you just turn down a side street like that, and you're like, oh, this is just a toilet.
Yeah, and it wasn't even far away. We were literally parallel to the main street.
Oh, you're gonna have to tell me what street it is, and I can go and visit in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I could probably show you on the map, because we were walking distance to to the gardens.
Yeah, right.
So it was kind of we were right in between the gardens and Rundle Mall. So it was great location.
Yeah, and that is during Adelaide Fringe. Pumping as well.
Yeah, and the vibe was so fun. So let's focus on the positive vibe.
We'll focus on that.
That was the first time I saw Gary Starr perform. It was my first time doing Fringe in all of Australia. I've done Toronto Fringe. Yeah, but that was my first Australian Fringe experience.
I love Adelaide Fringe as well. Good. It's so good, right?
Yeah.
And not only the fact that you get to perform, obviously, but you get a pass and you can go and see so many good shows for free.
Yeah.
That might be my favourite part.
We were in the throes of COVID at at the time, and we were part of a very, very large cast, and a couple of our cast members got COVID. And so there was a certain point when the other shows were all like, stay away from that company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we were like, but guys, we're good people. We're fun people. And they were just like, infection.
Yuck, go away.
Keep your COVID away from us.
You're just standing by yourself in the corner of the artist bar, and they've just put traffic cones around you.
Yeah. But we were like, and I remember there was a costume party one night, and someone dressed up like a rapid test.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was very cute. But we were like, we just want to come to the party too.
Yeah, come on, guys.
They were like,
we're all performers. We've all been shunned from social situations before. We know what this is like, okay?
Get in your bubble.
Oh, I don't want to be. I love my castmates, but I've spent so much time with them. I kind of hate them now as well.
Yeah. Oh, that was a really great cast, though.
Yeah, nice. Are you allowed to say what the show was?
It was Oracle.
Oh, sick.
So a circus burlesque dance.
Yes.
I got to pole dance in it.
Is that like the Zodiac? No, not Zodiac.
Yeah, it's based on the Zodiac signs.
Zodiac, yeah, it's the Zodiac signs. Yeah, sick.
Yeah, it was a super fun time, but a massive cast because there's 12 Zodiac signs, which means there's 12 feature performers, plus there's like supporting dance roles. And then there's like, just the whole rest of the company.
Yeah.
Like the rigger and
just
director.
like stage manager, front of house. I know which aren't directly related to you, but they're in that space every night as well. And then were you in one of the disgustingly large tents there as well?
Yes, we were in a tent, and like, so I was in the back corner of a tent, and I think we were there for 5 weeks. And when we first got into the tent, I saw a peacock feather in the back corner, and I was like, oh, that's pretty. So I just kept it there by my stuff like the entire 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then when we were loading out, somebody saw the peacock feather and was like, what is that doing there? Like it was sent from the throes of hell. And I was like,
really?
That's been there the whole time. And they were like, it's bad luck to have a peacock feather. That's why we've had the most cursed run in all of Fringe history. And I was like, okay, well, let's get rid of it. And they were like, you can't get rid of a peacock feather. You have to pass it on.
Oh, so like, another show's giving it to you?
Someone's planted a curse on us.
Some of these theatre things are wild.
Hard to keep up with.
Yeah. I understand the Macbeth one, and then the Ghostlight and some of the other stuff. But I'm like, come on, guys. Like, maybe this is just what happens in life. Like, good and bad things happen.
Bad things happen.
Yeah, but we'll finish the podcast there on
that haunting note of bad things happen.
Bad things happen from a good show, but a bad man in Adelaide. An unwell man in Adelaide.
About a man who is in an urgent situation. Let's call it that. He might not have been a morally terrible person, but
no. He was caught out from his lactose intolerance.
He might have just been lactose intolerant.
So again, this is to everybody that's listening that is lactose intolerant. Take Lactase or stop eating cheese so much. It's not that hard. Every single one of my friends which is lactose intolerant does it to themselves all the time. And like, I don't know if I can come out tonight. I ate a big pizza this morning or this for lunch. And I'm like, bro, anyway, sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this PSA now.
I get it. I understand both sides of it.
Yeah, look, fair enough. You do you, live your life, but far out, man.
Live your life, chase the dreams.
Taste the cheese.
Chase your dream. No, live your life, taste the cheese.
Yes.
No, I had an adorable dance teacher who used to always say, live your life, chase your dreams.
Aw. Well, there's a nice way to fucking finish on, I reckon.
Live your life, taste your cheese.
Exactly. That can be the new merch for the show. Beautiful. So where can people find you then? You got shows coming up, your Instagram, all your socials.
I don't even know what I'm doing. Yeah. I've got socials at Andrea James Lui on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Actually, my 10-year-old nephew has aggressively pressed me on pushing my YouTube. So please, I haven't...
On your YouTube?
Yeah, I haven't posted a video in 4 years, and
I did notice that. I was doing my research, and I was like, is this the correct Andrea? And I was like, oh no, it's like, it looks like you're doing like a post stuff. I was like, where's all the most recent videos? Yeah.
And
I'm not shaming here.
I mean, the thing is, it's actually... pre-COVID is when I stopped posting. Yeah. And at my nephew's urging, I've realized I do have a backlog of performances to share. So I guess this will give me the drive to start doing it, because my nephew's thing is, why are you not monetizing? Yes. And I said, well, I have enough subscribers to start monetizing, but I don't have enough watch hours in the last year because I haven't posted in 4 years. So,
Pump out those numbers, man.
If you go subscribe to my YouTube, new content is coming.
Yes, that's a promise as well.
The new content is going to be old performances, but they'll be new to the internet.
Yeah, but it's new to... Well, maybe not even the internet. New to YouTube.
Yes, new to YouTube. I also have a podcast of my own. It's called Spill the Bubble Tea. I co-host with Adam Lynn, who's an internationally famous pole champion. And we just talk about pole dance related things while we drink bubble tea together.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so cool. And it's Spill the BBT.
Spill the BBT. Right? Yeah. Yes, thanks for correcting me on the name of my own podcast.
I'm just letting people know where to find it.
More accurately.
Yes. All of this will be in the show notes as well, so anybody can find it down there if you have not understood any of the spellings of things. I don't know if I've clarified anything as well. Do you have any upcoming showcases or any upcoming workshops that people can come and train with you at, see you at?
I think by the time you release this podcast, the workshops will have just finished. And I will have just done that's totally fine. Because new ones are always cropping up. So if you follow me on Instagram, that's where I post all of my
That'll be the best place.
Goings-ons. Yeah.
Are people able to see you in Pikachu garb anywhere as well? Is that on the Instagram?
That one's on YouTube.
That one's on YouTube.
Yeah, that one's on YouTube because it's from 2016. So it was 2019 that I stopped posting.
Okay, good.
So all of the videos that I will be posting are going to come from the last.
Can you give any
4
teasers?
years.
What characters can we look out for? I love the character work myself personally. I think that's so cool.
What have I done?
Oh, sorry, I put you on the spot here.
You know what's funny when someone asks you a really clear, simple question and your brain just goes like, "What's my name again?"
Yeah, and you're like, "I've done lots."
I'm currently working on something where I'm playing Scar from The Lion King.
Oh,
so it's like sexual deviant Scar.
Oh,
I'm about a week away from that one, and I have a lot of work to do.
Fuck yes.
What other shows have I not shared? I have one version of a Mulan show that I have posted, but I have an updated version that I haven't posted. Oh, I have a Never-Ending Story show.
Oh, wow. Okay, who are we?
Atreyu.
Okay.
Of course.
I was going to ask. I was going to run through all the other ones.
Okay, if I actually want to be... I start out as Bastion, and I become Atreyu.
Yeah, right.
That was a really, really fun show. So... That one, I'm trying to post them. I'm planning to post them chronologically, but that was one of the more recent ones, so that might come a little bit later.
Well, you're just going to have to subscribe then. Watch all of them, obviously, and you're just going to have to hold on for maybe a few months or years by the sense of things.
No. I have to get my views up over the next 365
days.
Start
making that money.
Yeah, and then I convinced my sister to open children's savings accounts for my niece and nephew, so... I think his ploy is for me to monetize my YouTube so I can send it to him as birthday money.
Oh,
he's a savvy 10-year-old.
Is this the kid that blew up on YouTube the other day as well?
He is, yeah. So he actually, if you search for @plasma-1, I think that's how you find him. There might be a Christmas tree in his username.
I do not know how to search for that then.
I don't know how to say, but if I can spruik my 10-year-old nephew, he posts video game videos.
Let's plays?
Video game videos.
Yeah.
So he screen records himself doing certain things, like here's how you get a sword, or here's how you set a trap in Minecraft.
Like tutorials and stuff like that.
Some tutorials and some just like, here's me playing for the next 40 minutes.
I believe, and I am an old man, that's what's called a Let's Play in the YouTube community.
How do you spell that?
Let's Play.
Let's Play, as in...
Yes, I'm sorry. English is my second language. So if I can find that username,
I'll send you his link.
Please, thank you.
It's gonna make his day.
That'll also be in the YouTube YouTube notes.
Don't even subscribe to me. Subscribe to my nephew because he's the future.
YouTube doesn't have a certain number of subscriptions you can do.
You can subscribe
to everyone. Subscribe to me as well. I'm on YouTube.
Actually, so his little sister has an arts and craft YouTube channel, and so just before I left Vancouver, she and I made snowflakes.
Oh, from cardboard or from like paper where you cut them up?
Yeah.
I remember that shit from high school, from primary school.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so the one thing about my nieces and nephews' YouTube channels, they never show their face. You just see like their hands doing stuff.
Especially for kids, yeah.
Yeah. So if any of your listeners have kids...
Oh, they do. I know
If you're just some weird child-oriented person, leave my niece and nephew alone.
Yeah, and also please stop listening to this podcast.
But if you have children, like, it's really children accessible, or if you're a video game nerd, then my nephew's...
Hell yeah, I'm definitely one of those ones. I fucking love video games, except I can't afford them, so I watch other people play them on the internet.
You let's play.
I do, I let's play, or I watch let's plays.
Yeah.
So I'll teach you all about this stuff.
Good.
Good. And then if anyone else wants to find you anywhere, can we find bail enforcers anywhere? Can we order it on Amazon?
There was actually a period of time when it was on Netflix. That was a long, long time ago.
I'm going to find this. I'm going to link it in the show notes. So
I most recently saw it in a $5 bin at a Kmart.
That's so cool, though. I would fucking love to see anything I've been... Well, there's definitely some stuff I've been in that's just in a $5 bin. But, like...
like, let's put that in an attic. No, I would say, and I have friends who have candidly told me they fast-forwarded to the fight scenes and only watched the fight scenes.
Yeah, any part Andrea's not in.
Yeah.
Bin that. Just fast forward to when she's and stuff.
But even some of the fight scenes that I'm not in, there's some really fun fighting in it. But I have 3 big fight scenes in it, so that is like
nice.
A chunk of the movie.
If you are Cantonese speaking, though, maybe.
Please, I'm so sorry, because I do know how insulting it is.
Yeah,
I do, like, because I've seen
product of its time.
Yeah,
and
I've seen non-pole dancers pole dance. I've seen pole dancers dance in point. Like, the point is, I've seen people do things that are not their things and try to pass it off as the thing, and I am aware, and I'm devastated by it.
It's okay. Well, maybe I won't put that part in the show notes. We're finishing on a positive, all right? I'm finishing on a positive. No, but
I think you can find it on the internet.
Okay, good.
Places. I just don't know.
I won't link it, but if any of you beautiful perverts want to find it,
it's trailer.
Sure
you can see the trailer.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer.
You've seen the trailer.
There's also a couple little fight scenes on your very old website as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I did my research, everyone.
I have a website.
You
forgot
do?
I have a website. I think
you
it's
can
like
spook that if you want.
2013.
2014, yeah.
2014. Yeah. A lot happened back in 2014.
It did, yeah. But maybe I won't put that. Unless you want to update it, I won't put that one in the
You know what? It would give me incentive to update it. You know
what? I'll link it. If not, it's just a nice little time machine. You go and check out what Andrea was doing 10 years ago.
Yeah, you really can.
Yeah.
I was learning about web design, and
You know what? For a 10-year-old website, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have found this part, but I was dabbling in video editing, and I made a slideshow for my brother when he got married.
Oh, I didn't see that. Is that on there?
It is, if you want to see a wedding slideshow of total strangers, but the musicality I was quite proud of.
Oh, very okay. I'll go straight home and watch that.
Link that in your show notes.
That'll be the only link in the show notes.
So humiliated.
That and your niece and your nephew. None of your links in the show notes.
My whole family.
Yeah, do you want to spook your dad? Got any good gifts I can put in there?
I think my father-in-law just joined Facebook today.
Oh, did he?
Today, yeah.
I'll put his Facebook profile in the show notes as well.
The show notes are going to be longer than this podcast episode.
They're going to be 12 pages long. I am regretting this now. I'm going to go straight home and start editing to release this in 2 weeks.
Good luck.
Thank you. The same as every week, you can find Won't Be Forgetting That pod across most of the social media platforms. Find myself, Seb Muirhead, Muirhead, across. I'm just YouTube and Instagram myself. If you did enjoy the show as well, please do rate it 5 stars, write a review. As long as you rate it 5 stars, you can honestly write whatever you want. In the review, you can tell me what your favorite GIF is. If you want, you can tell us what part or your favorite part of Bail Enforcers was, if you like. You can suggest.
It's going to be the keys.
Is it the keys?
The keys is everybody's favorite part.
You can suggest a 5-star review and suggest the next character you might want to see Andrea play as well.
Ooh, I would love that.
Yeah. Tell you what, the Instagram post for this one, try and write down what characters you want to see Andrea play.
Yeah.
And then we do have a Patreon as well, patreon.com/won't be forgetting that pod. Anything that you can give is greatly appreciated. But I've taken up far too much of your time, Andrea. Thank you so much again for doing this.
It's a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
And today we have a guest. They are an actor, a pole dancer, a coach, and